Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Yeah. Mine is just blinking. I think the battery is down. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jai Mudire Nashtaprayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 16, and text number 39. So 10.16.39. Namastubhyam Bhagavate Purushaya Mahatmane Bhutavasaya Bhutaya Paraya Paramatmane. So I'll just read one point which is made in the purport. It says this: the beautiful Sanskrit poetry of this verse should be chanted out loud for the transcendental pleasure of the reciter and the hearer. So just to mention that point, so can all chant this verse loudly for the pleasure of all the devotees. Namastubhyam Bhagavate Purushaya Mahatmane Bhutavasaya Bhutaya Paraya Paramatmane. Namastubhyam Bhagavate Purushaya Mahatmane Paraya Paramatmane. Namastubhyam Bhagavate Purushaya Mahatmane Bhutavasaya Bhutaya Paraya Paramatmane. Namastubhyam Bhagavate Purushaya Mahatmane Paraya Bhutaya Paraya Paramatmane. Namastubhyam Bhagavate Purushaya Mahatmane Bhutavasaya Bhutaya Paraya Paramatmane. Namastubhyam Bhagavate Purushaya Mahatmane Bhutavasaya Bhutaya Paraya Paramatmane. Word for word. Namaha, obeisances. Tubhyam, to you. Bhagavate, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purushaya, who are present within as the Super Soul. Mahatmane, who are all pervasive. Bhuta Avasaya, who are the shelter of the material elements, beginning with the ethereal sky. Bhutaya, who exists even prior to the creation. Paraya, to the supreme cause. Parama Atmane, who are beyond all material cause. Translation and purport by disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We offer our obeisances unto you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although present in the heart of all living beings as the Super Soul, you are all pervasive. Although the original shelter of all created material elements, you exist prior to the creation. And although the cause of everything, you are transcendental to all material cause and effect, being the Supreme Soul. Please repeat. We offer our obeisances unto you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although present in the heart of all living beings, as the Super Soul, you are all pervasive. Although the original shelter of all created material elements, you exist prior to the creation. And although the cause of everything, you are transcendental to all material cause and effect, being the Supreme Soul. Purport. The beautiful Sanskrit poetry of this verse should be chanted out loud for the transcendental pleasure of the reciter and the hearer. So that's all the purport. So chant Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnanati Mirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsya. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So before I say anything, I'd like to beg the blessings of Maharaj and all senior devotees here. They're all my spiritual teachers, and just like sometimes a teacher gives a student something to say just for the student's purification, you're giving me an opportunity to serve. So kindly beg all your blessings. Hare Krishna. So this chapter titled Krishna Chastises the Serpent Kaliya. So we have come to this like a particular section of the prayers where up to this point, so we had 6 prayers before this where the wives of Kaliya, they actually have expressed the glories of the Lord in terms of the mercy of the Lord. So basically they have said that how is it possible for Kaliya, who is actually so wicked, so sinful, and such an offender, to actually get the fortune of having the dust of your lotus feet on his head. And then they actually explain further that why this is so surprising, and they say like even Lakshmi ji, who is actually serving you constantly, is not able to get that dust. And then the last previous verse, the verse before this, also they glorify that this dust is actually anyone who is actually here in this material world, just if he receives the dust of the Lord on their head, that's it, he attains all perfection. So such a glorious gift. And how is it possible that Kaliya, who is so sinful, has actually obtained this gift? So, having made this point, so the first 6 verses have this theme. Now they are actually continuing along this theme. And basically, like the 6 verses are saying, like, how can we conceive your mercy? It is inconceivable. Like, how come you have showered such great mercy onto this Kaliya? So basically they're bringing up the point of the inconceivability of the Lord. Like how the Lord is so inconceivable that we cannot understand the true merciful nature of the Lord. And then continuing along that theme, the next, I think 10 or 11 verses, they are going to glorify Krishna, and the way they are going to glorify is to bring out these contradictions, apparent contradictions in Krishna himself. So the main contradiction that has been addressed up to this point is how Krishna has actually showered his mercy upon such a demon. We cannot understand. It's beyond us. It appears contradiction that even Lakshmi ji, who is serving you for so long, has not obtained this. So how can we understand? We cannot understand. So continuing along that same theme, here they are actually offering obeisances. Namaha, that word is used. And then continue from here up to the next 10, 11 verses. They repeatedly say Namaha, Namaha. That word comes again and again, which refers to obeisances. And here continuing along that concept of like the contradiction in Krishna's glories, they actually say, although you are in the heart of all living beings as a super soul, you are all pervasive. And they give 3 different examples here. Okay, so I would like to talk a little bit about this contradictory qualities of Krishna. So the point, and this is actually a theme that comes repeatedly in the Bhagavatam, where they say like, oh, your glories are so inconceivable that all we can do is offer obeisances. We cannot understand those glories because they appear contradictory to us, and hence we just offer obeisance. So same theme here, right? So even in Queen Kunti's prayers, right, in the first canto, 8th chapter, she makes the same point, that although you are unborn, you take birth. And then she actually tries to justify the reason for Krishna's birth, But the main thing is that contradiction, that although Krishna is unborn, he actually takes birth, And there are so many contradictions. Like in Gajendra's prayers in the 8th canto, he actually uses the word arupaya ururupaya, where he says that you have a form, still you're formless. So basically, like, you have spiritual form, you don't have a material form. But he actually says you have a form, yet you are formless. And then other contradictions we see throughout the scriptures. We see, like in 7th canto, 1st chapter, like there's a whole section explaining how the Lord is impartial. But still we clearly see the partiality of the Lord to his devotees. So if you try to see Krishna's qualities, you can actually see so many contradictions. But actually Prabhupada says in one of the purports in the 6th canto that actually there are no contradictions in Krishna. Thank you. He actually makes the point there are no contradictions. It is only for the people who do not have faith or who are atheists that they find all these contradictions. And I was actually thinking on this point. Like, actually, this is in 6th canto in 9th chapter. I just found the reference. So in that section, demigods are praying to Vishnu, and they actually make this point, about this contradiction. And in the purport, Prabhupada explains that, for a devotee, all these contradictions can be reconciled, But for the atheists or people who do not have faith, they see all these contradictions. Does he have a form? Oh, he's formless. His birth, he's unborn, but he takes birth. And then the most common thing, which many interfaith discussions, this point comes out, that how come there is evil in this material world if God is all good? How can we understand that? That's a contradiction. So either God is not all good or he is not all powerful. So if we actually approach God, try to understand God with our limited experience, with our limited material experience, then certainly so many contradictions. Why is there so much evil? Why is this coronavirus spread so everywhere? Is God not there? So people actually, because they see these contradictions, either they take to the conclusion that, well, God is dead. There is no God. Or they actually come to the point to say that, oh, God is unknowable. No one can know God. He's beyond all this, no one can know God. And because they just stop at that point, saying that no one can know God, they don't even continue the search. They actually say, well, since no one can know God, then because there is no attractive on the spiritual realm, they actually turn to material activities to seek that attraction. So either they say God is dead, or they say God is unknowable, but either cases, they actually just, take shelter of the material energy. So, okay. So the point is, the only way we can actually understand this, and Prabhupada actually explains that, is the Lord, when we consider that Krishna is the shelter of all unlimited contradictory qualities. And if you actually see, like normally when people have a conception, understanding of God, what is their understanding of God? Mostly the understanding, and it is true to like even different religions and different faiths, their understanding of God is more from what is God in respect to us. Like, what is the perspective of God in relation to us? And they say, yes, God is our maintainer. So hence we are worshipping God so that he will provide us everything. Like how Prabhupada often says in lecture, God give us our daily bread. So they actually come to that point. In relationship to me, what is God? That is the understanding that they come. Or God is the creator of everything. Okay, he's created everything. That's it. We don't know anything beyond that. So if we limit the understanding of God just to this material purview, the role of God in this material world, then certainly there will be contradictions. You know? Right? So the only way these contradictions can be reconciled is when we actually get a glimpse of the nature of God beyond this material purview. When God is not the creator, when God is not the maintainer, what is God actually doing? You know? And when we actually get a glimpse, I will come to how we can get a glimpse, but when we get a glimpse of what God does beyond this material purview, then we actually come to know about God as the supreme enjoyer. That beyond this material purview, He is there in a spiritual reality, while all He is doing is just playing. And the play is basically God's leelas, right? And just to play, He's actually expanded into so many different personalities just to enjoy the relationship with all these different personalities in play. So the concept of leela and the concept of rasa. And these two concepts of leela and rasa, it is actually beyond the conception of God in relationship to me. When God is not the creator, not the maintainer, what is He doing? He's just enjoying with His associates. He's just enjoying rasa. He's enjoying leela with His associates. And when we actually get a glimpse of this nature of God beyond this material purview, in the spiritual reality, what God is actually doing, then all the contradictions can be reconciled. Otherwise, if you're just limited to this material purview, which most of the religions just focus on God as a creator or maintainer, then there are so many contradictions in God. But when we actually get a glimpse of the real nature of God, because that's where the concept of God, Krishna as the most lovable personality, Krishna as the most merciful personality, Krishna as the one who loves us so much that He has actually given us a free will to exchange that love. All these concepts can be explained. And only with the understanding of all these concepts that the contradictions can be reconciled. Okay. And then also I was going to make the point that, again, going back to the atheists or the people who do not have much faith, when they see these contradictions, they actually get a reason not to take shelter of God. They say like, oh, who can know this? Some people say God is born, some people say He's unborn, some people say He has a form, some people say He is impersonal, some people say this, some people say that. And as Queen Quinty is saying, this is bewildering. So those who do not have faith or who are atheists, they say, who can know God? And they give these reasons just to, enjoy material nature separate from God. Because as conditioned living entities, we have quality of being the controller. And as that quality is there as conditioned living to control, we want to control or gain grasp over also the understanding of God. We say like, oh, I need to understand God with my intelligence, with my logical experience. If we cannot do that, then there is some problem. Then God does not exist. So that's how they reject God, because of that controlling, that tendency to grasp. But actually, we can understand God only when we say that, oh God, we cannot know you. And hence, what we do namaha. We offer obeisances to you. We say namaha. I offer obeisances, I do not know you. And the section I'm referring in the 6th canto, in the 9th chapter, text 35, 36, the demigods say the same thing. That you exist beyond this material. You exist beyond this material nature. And hence, we cannot know you. Therefore, we just offer obeisances to you. So because of this inconceivable nature of God, they just say, okay, we cannot know you, hence we just offer obeisances to you. So here the wives of Kaliya, having expressed that contradiction in that merciful nature of Krishna, are now saying, okay, we cannot understand your mercy upon Kaliya, and hence we just offer obeisances unto you. Okay, and then I was going to mention this point, that how do we actually get a glimpse, having said that the only way these contradictions can be reconciled is when we get
a glimpse of that real spiritual nature of God. And how can we know that? We can know that only when someone who actually knows that comes down to actually reveal it to us. You know how Bhagavad Gita says, Jnaninas tattva darshinaha. Those who have seen this truth about Krishna, when they come down out of come to this material nature and explain it to us, then we can actually get a glimpse of this real spiritual nature. There is no other way of knowing this particular glory of Krishna. And yeah, and so I was going to make the point that so only people who are tattva darshis can actually reveal this most confidential, like how in 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna actually uses the word guhya tamam. He's going to reveal this most confidential knowledge to Arjuna. And he says, I'm going to reveal it to you because you're non-envious. And then in 4th chapter, he makes the point that because you're bhakto asi me sakha cheti. Because you're my devotee and my friend, I will reveal this knowledge which is actually beyond this material purview. What Krishna does when he's not the creator, when he's not the maintainer, when he's just enjoying with his pastimes. So that guhyatamam knowledge is actually in the jurisdiction of these people who are tattvadarshis. And when will that reveal that confidential knowledge to us? When we actually submit to them. When we say, okay, I don't know this, I surrender unto you. And then even in Bhagavad Gita, we see that theme, right? When Arjuna, he said, I know so many things. And he gives reasons why he should not fight. He gives 5 really good reasons. And if you just read the reasons, it makes so much sense. Compassion, this, that. And he said wow, this makes sense. He's thinking of the future generation. He's thinking of family traditions. He's thinking of all this. It makes total sense. And then when Arjuna finally says that, oh, actually, Krishna, I don't know. Shishya seham shadi mam tvam prapannam. When Arjuna says that, okay, I surrender, then that opens the door for all these tattvadarshis to reveal knowledge up to us. So this knowledge of that spiritual glory, what Lord does beyond the material purview is revealed by these tattvadarshis when we take that position of submission. And not only submission, the other point that is actually important, which is again 434 says, is sevaya. In addition to submit, we actually render humble service to these tattvadarshis. Then please, by that mood of humility, these tattvadarshis will reveal this inner nature of Krishna. And when this inner nature of Krishna is actually revealed, his rasa, his lila, his love, his merciful nature, all these things are revealed, then all those contradictions can be reconciled. Otherwise, it's just Krishna is full of contradictions. And like I was recently for Narasimha Chaturdashi, we're reading from 7th canto. And you see that theme again, that like how Prahlad Maharaj is making this point to Lord Narasimhadev himself. He says this knowledge of Krishna consciousness, it cannot be known by one's own effort. And then he actually says, Naisham mat tavad urukrangi mahisham pada rajobhishekam. Unless one gets the dust of the lotus feet of these tattvadarshis, we cannot know. Right? And then even Brahma in his prayers in the 10th canto, in the 14th chapter, I think it's text 27, 28, somewhere there, he actually makes a point. Athati te bhajam, what is it? And I'm forgetting. It starts with that, and Prabhupada quotes that in his lecture, Athati te bhajam dvaya. And that verse is basically saying that unless one receives a drop of mercy from you, Krishna, we cannot understand you. And without that mercy, without that dust of the lotus feet of devotees, it is all contradictions. And that contradictions for people who lack faith, atheists, is like enough for them to say, well, unknowable, God does not exist, let me just go back to my material activities. Now, this same contradictory qualities, which atheists and people who lack faith use it as a reason to turn away from God, devotees use these contradictory qualities, apparent contradictory qualities, to actually glorify Lord. And we see that theme again and again, where they say, you are this, but this. And that's what these Nag Patnis are saying. That you are, although you are present in the heart of all living beings as super soul, you are all pervasive. So the devotees who actually have received the mercy, who are, really devotees, they can glorify Krishna by these contradictory qualities. And those contradictory qualities actually become ornaments in the glorification of Krishna. So, like I mentioned about Queen Kunti, right? She actually makes the point that how, although you're unborn, you appear, and then she gives so many reasons. Because if we are limiting God just to this material purview as a supreme creator, as a supreme maintainer, that is okay, but that's not the real glorification. The real glorification is that, yes, you are the creator, you are the maintainer, but you are personally enjoying in your abode, and though you are up Atmaram, you are up the Kam, still you come down. Why? Because you love each and every one of us. Because you are so merciful to each and every one of us. So these contradictory qualities that the devotees use to glorify is actually bringing out that most merciful and the most loving nature of Krishna. And that is the highest essence of understanding of Krishna. That mercy, that love, that Krishna actually is. And I was actually going to take this point a little bit further and say, like, how these contradictory qualities can, like, even in our path of bhakti, we can actually pray to Krishna. And we see this in the songs of different acharyas, where they say, like, oh Krishna, you are so great, and I am so fallen. So, we see that part of humility coming again and again in the mood of our acharyas when they sing bhajan, right? You are so great, you have all these wonderful pastimes. I am so insignificant. Yet, you are so merciful that you please shower your mercy upon me. Though I am unqualified, you shower your mercy upon me. So again, they use this contradiction in Krishna to actually pray for Krishna's mercy. Patita pavana hetu tava avatara. You actually deliver the most fallen. Why would Krishna actually deal with the most fallen? So that is again the same point that the Nag Patnis are saying in the previous verses, that Krishna has delivered Kaliya, the sinful, the offender. Why? It's Patita Pavana. And they use this quality to say, oh Krishna, you are Patita Pavana. I am so unqualified. I have no qualification. But because you are so merciful, please shower a drop of mercy upon me. Please help me. Please save me. Please engage me in your service. Please let me know who you are. So the acharyas actually use these contradictory qualities to actually glorify Krishna. So particularly coming to these 3 points that the Nag Patnis are saying in this verse, and then further we'll read more of these contradictions. They say, although you are present in the heart of all living beings as a super soul, you are all pervasive. So how can we understand this? All this can be understood when we have knowledge of Krishna as the supreme enjoyer, as the most merciful personality, and how Krishna, through his energies, is pervading this entire material energy. When we understand, like how Prabhupada often quotes that, Parasya Shaktir Vividhaya Shruyate, that it is the energies of Krishna through which we can actually understand that transformation of energy, that we can understand things. So yes, it is Krishna through his material energy, which is actually under his control. Mayadakshena Prakriti, he is actually all pervasive. Everything is actually Krishna. But yet, he is localized. He is in the heart of every living entity. Why? Like just today morning in the class, Prabhupada was making the point, and he said, like, just to give association to each and every living entity, he is actually seated in the heart as Paramatma. And why is he giving the association? Just because of his merciful and loving nature. So only these 2 points of the mercy and love of Krishna, when these 2 points are brought in, then all contradictions can be explained. Right? Then the next point is, although you are the original shelter of all created material elements, you exist prior to the creation. So again, this point we read often, that how Krishna, again in Bhagavad Gita, repeatedly he actually makes a point, that actually I have nothing to do with this material nature. Like in 9.4 and 5, he actually says, Matstani sarva bhutani Yes, ma'am? Yeah, what's the second? Yeah. And then there's one, Pashyam me yoga aishwaryam. Yeah, yeah. That was the word I was looking for. Yeah, where he actually says, Pashyam me yoga aishwaryam. He actually says, see my yoga aishwarya, mystic opulence. You know. So that's the point, that even though Krishna, as such, he has nothing to do with this material nature. You know, he has nothing to do, and he's again and again. But yet, that entire material nature, he is the cause. He is, entire thing is actually coming from him. You know. So in 9.4 and 9.5, one way you see that Krishna says, I can just read those verses, they're actually really good. One way if you see, it is like a direct contradiction. But Prabhupada so nicely has explained it to us. So in 9.4 he says, Maya tatam idam sarvam jagad avyakta murtina. That's one. Matstani sarva bhutani na chaham tesha avastitaha. By me in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. And then further in 5 he says, Na cha mastani bhutani pasya me yogam aishwaryam bhuta brindanta bhutasto mamatma bhuta bhavana. And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulences. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation, for my very self is the very source of creation. You know, so again that contradiction, that if you just see these two verses, first he's saying that entire all beings are in me, but I am not in them. And then yet, everything that does not rest in me, behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation. So that's the similar point that the Nagpatnis are saying. Although the original shelter of all created material elements, you exist prior to the creation. And although the cause of everything, you are transcendental to all material cause and effect. You know? So that those are a few points on the contradictory qualities of Krishna, and how atheists and people who lack faith, these contradictions drive them away from God, but devotees use the same contradictions to actually glorify God. Okay, so I'll stop here. There are like so many senior Vaishnavas, and I seek your blessings, and please forgive me if I spoke anything wrong, and if there are any corrections, if you can guide me.
I love your main theme, that what causes the atheist to criticize Krishna causes the devotees to glorify him. But I'm not seeing, I'm sure this is my own lack, I'm not seeing the logical connection between knowing Krishna beyond the creation as a supreme enjoyer in his abode, and that knowledge allowing us to harmonize these apparent contradictions. I don't see how those two things relate to each other.
Like, my limited understanding here is that unless we understand Krishna in the spiritual realm, we don't understand the merciful and the loving nature of Krishna. Oh yeah, in the Ishopanishad. Okay. Yes.
And he addresses this point that he's analyzing one of the prayers of Sharanagati by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and he emphasizes a point that we have to that to understand Krishna, we have to be utterly helpless. And he says, without you, I can't go on. I can't do. He says, I am the most needy, I am far away, I am the most needy, I've come to seek your help. Without that, I cannot be saved, I cannot live. And he says in another place that I can't take one step in this world. I can't even breathe without your mercy. He says it's this sort of like absolute dependence on God, Krishna, that allows us to see through all contradictions. It's just that the knowing, really deeply knowing, that without Krishna's mercy, nothing's possible. And it was so inspiring to read this, because it's right in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's mood. You're the greatest, and I'm so fallen. And I think that, in a sense, it's like we can't even logically, to know Krishna's greatness in the spiritual world. I mean, I know there's no connection. Like, I see your point. But I think it's trans-rational. We hear the katha, we surrender to Krishna, we glorify him. It's like the camel, the eye, the cobbler, who says, "Oh, how great my Lord is," but the Brahmana is going, "Well, come on, I can't logically get this." I think it's beyond logic. I think it's just we throw ourselves at the feet of like Sridhar Maharaj said, we just throw ourselves at the feet of the Lord. These are wonderful pastimes, and then somehow he says, "You've got it now. I'll give it to you." I mean, that's all I can.
I think I'll give it to us. Don't give me the microphone. So, the point is, when we hear about Krishna's merciful, I don't really, anyway, I'll keep it arm's length. I don't want to affect anybody. So, when we hear about what's happening in the spiritual world, it keys us into what Krishna's motivation is. And so that's really connects with everything he does in this world. Because if we hear that Krishna's motivation is one of love and loving exchanges, particularly you read that about Gopal Kumar coming back to the spiritual world, and Krishna's just like overwhelmed with ecstasy and faints with ecstasy. Once you understand, and that refers to actually teleology, what's the purpose of everything, then you can actually see why. I think the why question is much more important than the how question. Because we're always asking, how does Krishna do it? Who cares? He's God. He can do, how do we know? We're never going to be able to figure out how he does things except for by his will. So Aikshata, Swarat. But if we understand why his motivation, then we can understand why he expands, why he creates the material world, why he enters the hearts of every living entity, and that's really, the why is actually the connection. And then when we hear about the spiritual world, that gives us the why. Okay?
And in this connection too, even in mundane, criminology, there's why, who, how, when, where, and all these different questions. Without the why and the who, all the other questions don't solve the crime. Unless they know why a person committed the murder, they cannot figure they can know the when, the how, the where, but they'll never solve the crime. It's the why.
Yes,
they have to know the why.
That's the point.
It seems like you got connection intuitively. And Maharaj articulated what you were sensing intuitively. Yeah.
I was actually thinking of particular examples, when I thought of personal and impersonal. I said impersonal, okay, yes, he's everywhere. But it is because Krishna's love and mercy is actually manifesting this material world. So that was, I was taking particular examples.